What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Ryan. If you're new to my channel, I speak about recovery. I speak about myself, my experience going through addiction and stuff like that. And I've been meaning to do kind of my story, I guess, as far as how I got here today. I'm currently a little over 9 months clean from all substances, besides nicotine and caffeine. I'm a vape and stuff like that, which is it's not good, but one day at a time, and I'll eventually quit this little device. Um, but yeah, I wanted to kind of get into some more in depth sort of stuff. And like I said, how I got clean and my whole experience with addiction and drugs and alcohol, and the behaviors and the lifestyle and stuff like that. Um, I've seen other people do their sort of stories like this, and I've always wondered, like, how do I start? Where do I begin? Um, but I guess I can begin by saying that I've been an addict my entire life. With or without drugs, I was born an addict. Because now that I have a little bit of clean time and I'm able to reflect on behaviors and patterns in my life and look back on the past and be like, wow, yeah, that was definitely me as an addict early on. Um, and I want to share this stuff with you guys, and I want to be as transparent and honest and upfront about this stuff as possible because it allows you guys to better understand where I came from and where I'm at today and how much has changed, what I had to do, stuff like that. So let me just start with saying that you know my addict mentality began at a young age. I grew up, my mom and dad were great. Family was good. I do kind of come from a broken home in a way because my parents got divorced when I was young. And part of that, I don't know, I took upon myself, like I thought it was my fault for a long time, but I've been able to make it through that. Um, and but like I said, my mom and my dad were great. So being young, coming up as a child, everything was fine. But me, myself, I battled with my own sort of demons. I used to steal a lot. I was very klepto. I was a klepto. Not to the point where everything I had to go, but I got caught up in predicaments with myself where I would find something. I would find a wallet, or I would find a possession of some sort, and thought, okay, well, no one's watching. I can do this. I can get away with stealing this stuff, and that continued up until high school. I used to steal from my friends and stuff like that, which I'm not proud to say, but like I said, I'm proud to be where I'm at today, where I don't do those things anymore. But recognizing where all of this kind of goes and starts is kind of tricky because, like I said, I started off, I used to steal a lot, which is kind of the self centeredness of my disease. Um, it tells me that I can do whatever I want, as long as I'm listening to that other voice, that negative, that evil voice that's saying, just do it, just do it, just impulse, impulse. And I remember at the time when I would do things like that, I was always thinking, like, is this a good thing? Should I be doing this? But at the same time, I was young. I thought I was in control. Little did I know that there were repercussions and that there were, risk and things that I was doing that wasn't right. You know, but I always felt like I was still a good person. I tried to be as caring and as loving to my family and to my friends. But going back to what I said earlier, I wasn't as transparent and honest about these things with those people at that time. So let's fast forward a little bit. Growing up, like I said, doing that whole thing, I made it through high school, played sports, wasn't popular, but I wasn't not popular. I was kind of in that in between, but I was really good at sports, so that kind of helped build my, I guess you could say, my ego up a little bit. And life was good to a certain extent. But I do remember being introduced to drugs and alcohol, about my, what, 15, 16 year old, 16 years old, about my freshman, sophomore year. I used to smoke weed with some friends. We'd walk down a back alley going on our way to school, and we'd get high before school. And we used to have bottles of Captain Morgan we put in water bottles or Coke bottles so we could disguise them, and we'd drink in school. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But I understand now that being young and naive and not taking the precautionary um, path, and being cautious about these things, or even questioning myself, like, is this what I should be doing? Like, is this right? Going through high school was fine, but my one demon that I've always struggled with, and a lot of you guys can attest to, was opiates. Opiates was the hardest thing and always seemed to come back around. Because I've done a lot of drugs. I mean, shit, I could tell you about the weed, the alcohol. I could tell you about the time I stayed up for 3 days smoking meth. I could tell you about the time I, took a whole bunch of ecstasy or went to a concert tripping on acid and stuff like that. I'm not glorifying these things. I'm just saying I've definitely messed my brain up and done a lot of things, with drugs that I'm not proud of, but I am proud of where I am today because for the longest time I was in denial, and I was so self centered. I was so egotistical. I was so manipulative, all things that spring from my disease and that are born from this disease of addiction. Um, because drugs was one thing, but the whole mentality and the lifestyle is another. That's a whole nother beast to conquer. Um, so yeah, so I did a lot of that, but opiates was always the hardest, man. I remember I got wisdom teeth pulled, got prescribed some Vicodin, and from that point on, that first drug, that first pill, it set me off, and it escalated through the years. I like I said, opiates was one thing, but then I would jump to Adderall, I would jump to Klonopin. I would do as what people say, doc shop. I was going to different doctors trying to get different prescriptions. And then, being like that, I tend to attract other individuals like that. So I had a lot of friends that were doing the same drugs as me, doing the same stuff that I did, and it was just bad. It was just bad. Um, and my opiate usage escalated to heroin at a certain point. Um, and it's hard for me to really even go back and look at that and be like, man, how did you go from one thing to the other, to the next, like so quickly? But, when you start taking drugs every day and you build up a tolerance, and then the financial ways, heroin was cheaper and it was more accessible, and, so be it. So I remember being in Arizona, and I had a friend who worked close by where I worked. And one day he was like, "Hey man, I'm going to work. I need a ride. You want to give me a ride?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's fine." So he jumps in my car and he's got a little foily, and I apologize if any of this stuff is triggering, or that any details. Like I said, I'm just being brutally honest and raw with you guys about all this stuff because I want to share my story in hopes that someone else hears this and can find some sort of hope through it all. Because, like I said, I am clean today. I am proud of myself, and I've had a lot to be thankful for and be grateful for. And it's because of other people that have shared their stories like this with me that I'm able to kind of do this today. And I'm a little nervous sharing this stuff, but I have faith in God, and I've got faith in myself, and I love myself today. And I'm proud to be clean and to be in recovery, and to say that I'm a recovering addict. Because a lot of shame and a lot of stereotypes can come from that, and a lot of people struggle with just the admission, the acceptance, self acceptance. So yeah, like I said, I give my friend a ride to work, pulls out a foily. Next thing I know, he asks me if I want some, and yeah, sure, let me try it. What haven't I done, Um, and that first hit, man, I was messed up. I went to work. I feel like my boss could tell. I was like, but I was out of it at the same time, so I was blind to what everybody else thought, cared to think. Um, so yeah, so I remember doing that, smoking like some tar or something like that, you know. And then it stopped. You know, it didn't come back around. I didn't really seek it. It didn't come back around. But I remember telling myself like, man, that high, that first high, man, I just had to keep getting more and more of it. And this was before my daughter was born. I've got a 5-year-old little girl. She's the love of my life. I love her. She's my purpose. She's what keeps me whole today and accountable, you know, at the same time. But this was before she came along. So yeah. So fast forward a little bit. Lived in Arizona, moved back here to Chicago area, Herscher, Illinois, small little farm town, town of like 1,300 people. The sign says "Small Town America" at its best. It's kind of funny because it's literally in the middle of the cornfields. But I went to high school here. Sorry, I should remind you. Or just let you guys know, I went to high school here. So I've been back and forth Arizona. Born in Arizona. My dad's from Illinois, so it's been a back and forth thing. You know, my mom's in Arizona, my dad's here. And like I said, when my parents got divorced, we went with my dad, me and my brother. And I apologize if some of this is kind of out of line. It's just I'm just going off the top of my head. There's no script to this. So yeah, so moved here to Illinois. At this point, me and my ex or my baby's mother had separated, but we had our daughter. And I started hanging out with individuals again that were doing the same thing, you know, pills, stuff like that. And I remember this last recent run, really, with drugs, with heroin. I remember getting in a car with someone. We had to take a friend to a house. He had to go somewhere or whatever. So me and my buddy were giving him a ride. Same thing. He pulls out some stuff, asks us if we want some. Sure, let's do this. You know. Um, and this all kind of relates to that self-centeredness, like not thinking about things, not telling myself that I was invincible or that I was fucking unique, like I could do this stuff and nothing was gonna happen. But that wasn't the case because I ended up hooked on heroin for 4 years. You know, my little girl, luckily, she saw me through the worst. Not the worst. She didn't really see me through the worst of it, but I was in the worst of it when she wasn't able to really understand a lot of this stuff. And I'm thankful because, you know, being a parent and being a drug addict, you know, that's so hard. I just remember days where I just hated myself. You know, I hated what I'd become because I knew I was taking myself away from my daughter, and I wasn't able to be as supportive for her as I needed to be. Um, you know, but I don't beat myself up over it today because you know I'm clean now. You know, but let me just rewind a little bit on that too. So hooked on dope for 4 years, man. Chasing the dope, man, constantly. You know, always trying to find ways to get more money. Lying from my to my boss and to my dad and my family and stuff here in Illinois. I was telling them, you know, oh my check, you know, it was short, or this bill, I had to pay this bill or that bill or da da da, or I got to fix my car. You know, always an excuse. It was always just some bullshit. Um, so yeah, I was pretty bad off. You know, I was using a lot. It was every day. You know, I was maybe doing it. You know, I never intravenously used drugs. I've never done that. I was just snorting them at the time. I was, you know, insufflating them or whatever you say. But I was that close to using IV. That's how right before I hit my rock bottom, I was that close. You know, my girlfriend at the time, she was a nurse and she was able to get needles and stuff like that. And I asked her, I said, "Go ahead, bring them home. Let's maybe see what we can do with this." And that's such a sad thing to think about, but you know, it's the reality of where we go, the insanity of this drug, and how bad the drugs can really warp our sense of self. I guess you know because I would always tell myself I was never gonna shoot up anything. Never. I would never do that to myself. But you know, when you start running out of options, and you refuse to be honest with yourself, and you just stay in that denial of your disease, And you continue to feed that disease, continue to feed it more and more and more. Um, Unfortunately, things happen that we can't quite control, um, and it takes a real big sort of spiritual awakening to get you out of that hole. So yeah, so the things that changed, the thing that got me to where I am today was I was just done. I was done. I was sick and tired of always being broke, always feeling like crap. Even when I was still using, I still felt like crap. Like it just wasn't doing anything to me at that point. I was literally just using not to be sick, so that I could go to work and make up more money just to give it right back to the dope man. It was ridiculous. It was a stupid cycle of insanity. So um, I decided I was done. So I remember this was the day. I remember going into my work um, that morning, and mind you, I had dope in my system still, but I was just done. And I remember having a little bit of leftover in a little container. Walked into my work. My boss was there. She could tell something was up. I just looked. I was almost sobbing. I was crying without the tears falling. I just was miserable. Because I was miserable in myself. I'd been denying and lying to everybody and lying to myself about all of this. And I needed to just stop. I needed to get it out. I needed to let somebody know, hey, I need help. I'm reaching out. And that's why we tell people just reach out, man. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what other people think. You got to get help. If you don't reach out, you're never going to get help because you have to seek these things. The things about the drugs will blind us and tell us that we need to keep using. So um yeah, so I told my boss. I straight up just told her, I go, look, Beth, I'm really sorry about all this. And I know you can tell something's been up with me for a long time now, but I've been using heroin and I need your help, you know? And she was shocked, obviously. She was mad, she was pissed the hell off. But she was more caring and she respected the fact that I came to her and was honest with her for the first time in a long time, about this whole thing. And like I said, I still had a little bit of drugs left, and I just gave it to her. Actually, no, I threw them in a garbage can in the bathroom at my work. And when I told her this, I go, hey, you need to go into that garbage can. So I gave them to her once I retrieved them from the garbage bin. Um, and yeah, we talked a little bit, cried a little bit. Um, I went home. I told my dad the day before. Um, I just kind of came out and told him, "Hey, pops, I'm a heroin addict." You know, that's hard. That's hard to say to your dad, the person that you admire and that I looked up to. It was tough, but at the same time, it was a weight off my chest. It was a door that was ready to be opened. You know what I'm saying? The opportunity to be honest and say, look, I need help. I can't do this by myself. I've been beating myself up. I've been feeding my disease for so long, for years and years and years and years, you know. And he was mad too. He was a little upset, but he was ready. He was ready for me to make it through this. And I've tried to get clean before on sheer willpower and stuff like that. I've tried to do you know little 2 3 day stints of not using, but I always ended up going back. So this time, what was different was, like I said, I reached out. I got on here on YouTube and I found some videos. I found a really really good guy. Much of you guys know him, Derek Lambert. I found his video, saved my life. It saved my life. I know he probably hears that a lot, and I just want to tell Derek thank you because it did. Whether it be a coincidence or not, I don't believe it's a coincidence. I know that God had a plan for you, and He's got a plan for me, and He's got a plan for everybody else out there. As long as we believe and we have faith. So I found his video, um, and I was listening to his videos and I was watching them, and he kept talking about this Discord, and I had no idea what a Discord was at that time. I'm tech savvy, but I'm not that tech savvy. I don't know. So I had no idea. Um, so found his Discord. If you guys don't know about the Discord, check out the Discord. It's a big community, online community of people, other recovering addicts, or just addicts who are looking to get clean. It was a network. It was someone somewhere, and someone to talk to about all this stuff that I'd been denying, about my disease, about my drug problem, and about the fact that I am an addict, but we do recover and we do make it through these things. There's a lot of things that we say. I'm a part of a fellowship, a 12-step fellowship, and we say a lot of cliche things such as just for today and one day at a time. But those things are so true, man. They're hard to accept initially, but knowing what I know now and being a part of this fellowship and being a part of this Discord and watching these YouTube videos and all these other people and all these other channels starting, dude, it's amazing because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me involved in my recovery. I don't forget about my recovery. I don't forget about these early days of sitting on my couch, day 2, finding Derek's videos, sweating, shaking, can't sleep, going from room to room. Luckily, my dad was able to take my daughter, and took her for a day. But I remember back on like day 3, she came back to the house, and I just had to make it up like I had a flu, man. You know how shitty that feels to just tell your baby girl, daddy's just got a little flu, baby. It's miserable. Makes you feel like shit. But it's the truth. And I was able to kind of make it through more each day. I kept getting on the Discord. The Discord had meetings and stuff like that where we could share about this stuff. We could listen to other people. And those people that were on that Discord, Derek and his videos and everybody, my family, my boss and everything, they kept reminding me, that you keep pushing, Ryan. You keep pushing. You keep making it through whatever you got to do as long as you don't use, and you're going to be okay. You're going to survive. You're not going to die from this withdrawal, because I felt like I was going to die. I had a moment where I thought I was literally dying. And that's a whole nother, yeah. So, yeah, here I am, 9 months clean. 9 months and 19 days clean, to be exact. Because yes, I keep a timer. I've got a little app that reminds me of all this stuff, because I know that at any point, if I forget where I came from, or forget where I'm at in my life, or forget that I am an addict, or forget that my recovery doesn't come first, because my recovery does come first every day. But if I remind myself and I keep time, and it keeps me on track. It keeps me, I'm not that organized of a person. I can be a little messy, I've got my character defects and whatnot. But, I've been making more efforts and I'm more organized now with the app and stuff like that. But, life is good these days. Life is really good. I'm proud of myself. I have faith. I have found a spiritual awakening. And I hold myself accountable as well as other people. I'm on the Discord and in my real life. People hold me accountable, and I'm not ashamed of my past anymore. I'm not ashamed of the guilt, and I definitely still have amends to make, and I definitely still have regrets. But I live in the moment now, and I find peace within myself by helping others, by making these videos and sharing this stuff with you guys, because it's allowing me to be honest with myself and to remember that the drugs and the alcohol, they're not a solution. If anything, they make things worse, and they make life miserable. But it's not just the drugs that we have to worry about. It's our own thinking. It's our own perception. It's how we perceive things and how we perceive ourselves. So if you can't make it out and you're struggling to make it out and you don't know what to do, reach out. There is help. There are people that care, and there is a life to live. You know, there is life after drugs, as I say. That's you know. So yeah, what else? I feel like I could keep rambling and rambling, you know. Um, but like I said, life is good these days. I'm grateful. I go to local meetings. I'm a part of my fellowship online and in real life. I try and share my story like this. It always kind of comes out a little bit differently, you know, but I feel like it's just all in the moment, you know. None of this stuff is scripted. Like I said, I just am sharing, you know, I guess a little bit about me. If you guys have any questions about anything, something I may have brought up while I was rambling through all of this, and you'd like me to go into depths or details about it, I'm open for that. You know, I'm an open book these days. I'm pretty transparent about my past and my dealings with addiction. You know, and that how I stay clean today. Um, you know, what I cannot do alone, we can do together. You know, it's something that we say in my fellowship, and it's so true. You know, so reach out, guys. There is help. There are people that care. I care. If nobody's told you that they love you today, I just want to let you know that I love you, and that you should love yourself. Okay, because you don't have to struggle. You don't have to suffer alone. You know, yeah, my life may not be perfect, but you know what? I love myself more each day, and I understand. I'm patient with myself, and you know, I don't compare myself to other people. I try to just focus on me because that's all we can do. You know, so stay vigilant, guys. Stay grateful. Stay humble. Love yourself. Laugh a little bit more each day. Help someone else. Be of service. Help another person that's struggling, and just remember that I love you guys. All right. So, like I said, if you got any ideas, you want me to share something, holler at me, let me know. Thank you guys for being patient. Like I said, I've been meaning to do a little video like this, I guess, for a minute. But yeah, I'm going to go to work here in a little bit. So I love you guys. All right. You guys be well. All right.